Hi, this is Dr. Reuben Chen, and welcome to another Vital Signs podcast. I hope you guys are doing well. It is coming down to that return to school time. And so, return to school, uh, in honor of return to school, I'm going to be answering some questions, some Q&A here that I have from some viewers about concerns that people have about going back to school, especially with kids. So I have five children. I do see quite a few types of patients, young kids, old people, all of that stuff, all the in between. So I'm going to go through some of the questions and give you some answers. So here we go. So what are some top health concerns for kids returning to school? Well, there are a lot of articles out there for health concerns for kids. One of them is going to be allergies. You know, if the child has allergies like peanut allergy or something that's can be life-threatening, obviously let the school nurse know. If the child requires an EpiPen, let them know. Uh, and if the child's allergies are really strong, they should know how to apply the EpiPen to themselves or give it to an adult that can help them. A lot of children that I know who have severe allergies and they keep an epinephrine pen inside their bag so that the teacher knows if they're having an issue related to an allergy that the teacher can help them with that. So these are things, but do have to let the school nurse know about that. So, but that's definitely a concern. Communicable diseases are another one. Colds, diarrhea. It's the worst. Another communicable disease that people probably don't think about a lot is lice. That is uh, something that you should monitor. We've been so concerned about the respiratory communicable diseases, and I feel like the media and everybody are pretty sensitive to that. But other communicable diseases like lice, and things that travel on the skin, or something for you to be aware of. My daughter just got lice, and it got transmitted to my wife. Um, so if you have children that have thicker hair and longer hair, unfortunately, that makes you more prone to lice. Thinner, shorter hair like mine, I've never had lice. So, but if you notice that your child is scratching their head, um, you can take them to a professional to get their head checked and to go through the treatment protocol. You can do it at home. There's lots of videos online on how to look for lice and how to treat it. So, but yeah, it's one of those things. So just be aware. Um, Obviously, if um, the child is cleaner, takes more showers, washes their hair frequently, that can definitely make it less likely, but does not make it unlikely. So, and anybody can get lice, unfortunately. So, but yeah, if you need, if you can get those combs, like the special lice combs. I'm sure you know somebody who's had lice and can talk about it. So it's a thing, and if you have small children, you probably are aware of this. So be aware of those type of communicable diseases. Um, those are things that you should be aware of. Okay, let's see. What do you recommend parents can do for their kids to keep them healthier? Oh, so yeah. So what kind of things? So one of the things that I think, obviously, nutrition is going to be important. Having the right kind of food. I think that um, especially when kids go off to school, any time that you're able to help control what they put in their mouth is really important. So, um, I know a lot of parents send their kids and they can have school lunches, but if you can help prepare your child's lunch and make sure what the child eats is what you think is good is important. A lot of kids will go and they'll purchase sodas and cookies and other snacks, and there is an epidemic of childhood obesity right now, and childhood type 2 diabetes, which is very new. Um, before, when I was in medical school, the youngest people that I had heard, the youngest age of diabetes, type 2 diabetes, not type 1, which is if you, type 1 diabetes is if your pancreas is no longer producing insulin. So it is an injury to the actual organ itself. Type 2 diabetes means that you become not sensitive to insulin anymore, usually related to diet and activity. And so uh, usually they call that adult onset diabetes, but I've seen childhood diabetes or children with type 2 diabetes as young as 11. So it's been happening younger and younger. When I was in medical school, probably the youngest I saw at that time was 16. It was uncommon, very uncommon. So, but now yeah, it's not strange to hear of cases of teenagers and children as young as 11. So yeah, so nutrition. So if you can control their diet, you can put in snacks that your children will eat. That's an important thing, so that they don't get tempted to go grab some chips or soda or something like that. So do your best to try and control the school lunch. I think is an area that often gets neglected because parents think, oh, they'll go to school, they'll eat a healthy lunch, and I guarantee it is not the case. So schools are not as concerned about the health of your children as you are as a parent. Guarantee 100% you care about your kids more than the school does. So that is important. Exercise, obviously, I think some kind, and this is a tough one. Physical activity for children often gets overlooked. If especially if they are playing a sport and it's the off season, depends on what kind of sport. Maybe they're like my son is in wrestling, and his sport is a fall winter sport, and then in the spring summer he just doesn't do anything, and that's not a good thing. So trying to figure out other activities for your kids, even though you think that they're young and they're athletic, it's important to keep them moving, because if an adult stopped moving for 6 months out of the year, they would have heart disease. So so you want to keep your children as active as possible. So if they need after school activities or something that helps them to exercise, because kids don't think about exercise, that's also very important. One other thing is sleep, and sleep is something that is also often neglected for children, and they need it even more than adults. Um, you may notice that your kids wake up early in the morning, you think, oh, they don't need sleep, but they just crash that night. So trying to keep their sleep cycles regular, that will help with the release of growth hormone and uh, other other things in their body. So growth hormone is the most affected by sleep. And if their sleep is often interrupted, that can also interrupt the release of that hormone in their body. So it can interrupt how the child grows. So it's important for the children to have not just enough sleep, but regular every night at the same time sleep. And it's tough. I know, teenagers are different because when they're teenagers, they sleep a lot. They can sleep for like 12 hours. All of a sudden, your kids are just locked in the room on a Saturday until noon, and then they finally wake up. But younger children, it's important for them to have a regular sleep wake cycle. And if you do that, their growth hormone release, brain development works a lot better. So let's see. Here you go. What Sunrider products support a back to school healthy routine? So I knew it would get to that. So let's talk about. So I like I like the supplements that taste the best. Kids are picky. My kids are picky. I don't know, everybody else's kids are different, but my kids, I've got picky kids. Um, each one of my five kids, they like different things, and it's tough to sort of work around it. So, but there are some areas that they universally are okay with. One of them is we're talking about immune health. We know that vitamin C is really great for the immune system. So one of the products I really recommend is Citric C tabs. Citric C is it's a great product. It is the source for vitamin C is an herbal source, so the body will absorb it like it's an actual food. They'll have an easier time to absorb directly into the blood. So that's a great thing. So you don't just pee it out like you pee out most vitamins out there. So that's one of the products that I like is our citric C tab and vitamin D. So those are the two if you're talking about vitamins. Vitamin D because kids are not going outside as much as you wish they would, and that vitamin D helps with obviously bone development, especially young boys, young girls who really need strong bones. So vitamin D is important, but vitamin D is also helps to strengthen their immune health as well, especially respiratory immune health. So citric C, vitamin D, those are two products. Fortune Delight, it's a great our antioxidant drink. Also, if you can put it uh, in the thermos or whatever they have, sips of water, so that they have something to drink that is healthy, that's not loaded with calories. Um, I one of the areas that I often tell patients of mine that have issues with obesity is to stop drinking their calories. So if they can cut out sodas, they can cut out fruit juices and switch it to things like our Fortune Delight, that's low calorie but still has a good flavor and good for you. That's going to help out a lot. Um, Vitadophilus is also great. It's a probiotic. That's also great for digestion. Probiotics are great for immune health as well. And also, Vitadophilus tastes like apples. So these are a few products that are easy for kids to take. Really good for them. We have also New Plus, often something that I give to my kids as like a cereal. It is concentrated herbs that help to fill in nutritional gaps in the body, also helps bring variety into people's diet. So either New Plus or I also like our Sunfit Protein Plus. I think kids need more protein in their diet as well. So oftentimes I'll put all these things in a shake. But if kids like to eat stuff, New Plus is great. They can actually add a little water to it and eat it with their spoon. My son does that as like his morning cereal. He loves that. So those are a few. I do lean towards good tasting Sunrider products for my kids because it's kids, and that's one of the things they think about. Uh, what if you have a picky eater? What do you recommend to ensure my child gets proper nutrition? Okay. So I just mentioned some of the products that I talked about. And, for children, especially picky eaters, what I try and do is give kids options for them to choose. So I mentioned Citric C, Vitadophilus, New Plus. Let the kids be able to choose what they like. And if they choose it, then that's good. And picky is a funny thing. I have noticed maybe in my own children that their pickiness is maybe an emotional response as well. So they don't like to be told what to do. So they sort of pick and choose what they want when they want it. So yeah, so I'll let them pick and choose the supplements that they have. Sometimes if it gets to a battle, I'll just say, here, you can choose two, and they can choose which one. But if you give them at least some options, and they feel better about it. Okay, should I be concerned about childhood obesity? Now, I already talked about it. The obesity rates for kids are off the charts, and type 2 diabetes for children. I mean, So you can understand what diabetes, the concept of diabetes is that you consume so many calories that your body is literally giving up on absorbing the nutrients because it is absorbing too many nutrients, too many calories from your food that your body literally has to stop absorbing it. That's what basically insulin insensitivity means. Insulin allows your body to absorb glucose or sugar. If your body knows when it has met its limit, it actually just shuts down and just no longer allows itself to be sensitive to insulin. So you're no longer absorbing sugar because there's just too much sugar in your body. Your body literally can't take it anymore. That's insane. And especially for young kids, that's tough. So like I had mentioned before, try your best to control not just, dinner when they come home, but their school lunches and breakfast as well. Uh, I think kids need to eat regularly. I don't like the idea of letting kids like skip meals. When you're an adult and you understand your body a little bit more, intermittent fasting, those type of things are more useful for children as their bodies are growing. You don't want to put them through any. Number one, you don't want them to have a stigma against food because they will. You don't want them to have these negative emotions towards it. But number two, kids' bodies they need regular nutrition to help their body to grow properly. So you want to make sure that they're consuming things that are balanced, that they have enough protein, they have enough carbohydrates in their diet, along with fiber, all of that. So if they can get more, I know it's tough for everybody, but I'm a home cooked meal fan, and partly because there's effort that's taken into making that food. And one of the things that I think is that's important, especially with home cooking, is to teach your children how to cook. I know that if you don't know how to cook yourself, that can be tough. But when your children know what goes into making food, their feelings towards food will start to change. They'll have more appreciation for it, and they won't think of it. And they may take chips and stuff every once in a while, but they actually have it. They'll develop a taste for home cooked food because they know that the effort they've experienced it. So in our home, my wife is an amazing cook, and so you know my especially my two older kids, oftentimes will have them help us make the food. My son, who is 14, he's good at cooking. I'm always impressed with how well he can cook. He can cut things up. He can fry things. He can do all kinds of food. My oldest daughter is, she likes making very, very intricate looking desserts. That's her thing. And then my other kids, they participate in the cooking process, and I think it's good for them to experience what it's like to cook the food. Then their feelings towards food are going to be different. They don't just experience the consuming of it, but they're in the process of the making of it. And so you need them to have what I think is a proper relationship with food itself. So, and it sounds complicated and tough, but I do recommend kids help with the food making process. Home cooked foods are going to be the best. For their own snacks, I often let my kids choose their snacks, um, make their snacks. If they have a lunch, ask them to see what kind of lunch they can make, or if it's something they made last night, that they can warm it up and they can take it home, take it to school with them. So I think that if the more that they're involved in the food making process, the less, and there's no studies, this is my own personal experience. I feel that they have a better appreciation for food itself, so that it doesn't go maybe off the rails. Um, And then obviously, I had mentioned this earlier, physical activity is so important, something regular, so the kids also have an appreciation for um, activity, and also to avoid the other habits that kids today are falling into, which is using technology, playing video games all day long. You want them to recognize that their body is meant to be used physically and that they can do it in something else besides just sitting on their phone. So that's important. Okay. So what are your what are your best medical advice for moms and dads for their health as as the kids return back to school? I would say, a lot of the advice that I mentioned for the kids can definitely go to the adults. Um, when it comes to, you can take the same supplements that I mentioned yourself. Those are great supplements to take. There's no problems with the adults taking them, and they taste good, which is great. Um, so citric C, vitamin D, Fortune Elite New Plus, Vitadophilus, Sunfit Protein Plus. Those are all great. But I would also suggest do your best to home cook your own meals as well. For lunch, breakfast, dinner, help you. The more you are involved with the food making process, I think also for an adult, it's the same. When I gained a lot of weight in medical school, it was because I was eating out a lot. And part of my weight loss process, I just bought a bunch of frozen chicken breasts and I started to cook it myself. And my feelings towards food changed along with exercise. And as an adult, I, I, I recommend exercise at least 30 minutes every single day. It just doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be something intense, but it has to be something. Walking, running, swimming, but it has to be on a regular basis. Your body craves physical activity as much as it craves food. So the body's meant to be moving, and when you stop moving, you lose it. And then on a personal note, as you are getting busy with children, I do recommend setting aside family time, so time with the family together. It's important to at least once a week to have the family together doing something as a family unit so that the kids are reminded that you're a family. It's just not, uh, your daughter uh, just off doing her own thing with her friends all the time, that they are associated with the family. Remember how much time the school and her friends have influencing your child as opposed to your family. So having that family time is important. And then number two, if you are if you have a spouse, to spend time with your significant other, with your spouse, doing something away from the kids and value that relationship. I think that's obviously very important for me. That's been a very important thing with to help strengthen my relationship with my wife, especially during those times where we think that we just don't have any time with each other. Some days, we live in the same house, but it'll be Thursday, and my wife will say, "I feel like I haven't seen you all week." And we sleep in the same bed and we see each other, but because we're so busy running past each other, we don't actually have time to just sit there and talk and recognize that there's another adult in the house. So it's important to spend time, I think, with your spouse, let them feel recognized, especially if you're running around and you're busy working or helping the kids. It's important to help strengthen that relationship. And again, the kids, your relationship with the kids. So, all right. So those are some questions that I had. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you like this, please like it, share with a friend. Also, you can leave comments below, and I love to see comments and try to respond to them. So I thank you very much for spending this time with us, and I'll see you guys in the next Vital Signs podcast. Thank you.